You have worked in the industry for a very long time. Can you share how and when you got your start and what some of those early experiences were like?
Okay, when I started out at 16 years old, I was horses was my pride and joy. As a kid, I even made me a stick horse and rode a stick horse, and I just loved horses. So I quit school. Sorry to say that, but I did at 16 years old, and I went to work at Bluegrass Heights Farm, and I started in 1960. And there has been a lot of changes on Old Franklin Pike since I started. Believe me, there's farms that had names that I remember. That Danada Farm, which is the name been changed now. I remember all of that. Also, I worked at Bluegrass Heights Farm for 3 years, and then the next farm on the hill was the King Ranch. So after I got through working there, I just jumped the fence and went to work for the King Ranch, which they have a big ranch in Texas, in Keeneland, Texas. Well, my experience there, then I worked with Gary Bush's father, and I worked in the stallion barn and took care of me. We had like 6 stallions and 6 mares in the stallion barn. That's just the way it was back then. And I had the opportunity to take care of the 1950 Kentucky Derby winner, which was middle ground. Several good stallions that was bloodline from Caveman Farm, Bomax, all those kind of horses that was back in the day. And I could actually start back, even go back a little, even Main Chance Farm was out on Newtown Pike out there. I used to take mares over there to those stallions over there back in the day. But anyway, the horse industry has been good to me. In the fall of the year, they would do the weanings, and then they would put them on train in the back of the farm. And I had the opportunity to ride train with those weaners to Texas on train. That was an experience I'll never forget. And people was just talking about, this man here is from Kentucky, and he's riding a train all the way to Texas. And the scariest time we got down around New Orleans, and it was early daylight, and I looked out the window on that train, and we were right in the middle of this water bay down there. And the water on this side, water on this side. I said, Lord, don't let this train fall off this track. But anyway, it was an experience. The Hispanic guys I had a big box of food, and they come up on the train with these big machetes on them, and they didn't ask me because they didn't speak English. And they looked in my box, and to me, I said, just help yourself. But anyway, but it was a good trip because my dad worked up there. I worked up with my father then at King Ranch, and it was just a big family up there back then. And mostly it was just black people that worked up there then, you know what I'm saying? And it's different back then than it is now today. Back then, you could, after you got done cleaning your stalls and breeding and everything, then we could leave the farm and go to Lexington for 2 or 3 hours and then come back, put your horses in. That's just the way they did back then. Also, I during the breeding season, I work at the horse, and then in the spring, I'd go out and do maintenance. So they used to get on quarter horses. We used to work those Santa Cruz cattle that the King Ranch had, and I loved that, And then one thing led to another, so I got tired of being there. So a buddy of mine that worked at Big Sink over here, he called me and said, I got an opening for you. This was in 1966. So he said, come down. So I came down. Lucian Campbell was the manager over then, and they hired me. And in 1966, that's where I've been up until now. A lot of changes. Some of the horses and yearlings and things that are blushing rooms and the bowl rules and taking mares to Secretariat and handling one of the first crops of his babies at the November sale out of a shoe crew by Secretariat. Then I go all back to one of my pride and joy family was Nosy Nan, this mare was, which was by Nan Talon out of a mare called Aphonia, which you look at that pedigree, you'll see a lot of good stuff out of that. She wound up, she was a type of mare, I took care of 5 generations out of her. And she was the type of mare we get in fold every year. So this one particular year, she went barren, and they put her in the November sale. So Will Ferris just loved that family, And she started bleeding at the sales at the barn. But anyway, Will Ferris came by and said, do not take her through the auction. He said he paid $125,000 for her right there at the barn. But brought her back to the farm, And that following year, when breeding season comes the following year, bred her to alley dog, bam, back and forth. Then that following year, she started breeding again. So it was something up next to her brain. I can't call the word what it was, but the veterinarian knew what it was. And it was something that they couldn't do down here, so they wound up at sending her to Ohio State. So Dr. Copeland, Craig Freiss, all of the veterinarians, they all, my client was a manager. This is before Ladies Ear started up. And anyway, they all got together and said we need to send Butch with Nosy to Ohio State, because Will Ferris had told me, he said, a lot of the horses that he sent up there, they wind up with salmonella and stuff. So they sent me up, and they also sent my wife with me. They put us up in a motel, and at nighttime I would go over there and stay with Nosy. This is Nosy. She was one of my special family mares and things. Anyway, and they wind up had to do with the surgery. They'd done a trachea on them. And my job is at nighttime to make sure she could breathe. And she would cough a little bit, and I'd jump up, put my head on, make sure, because I was just nervous, And I was up there 11 days a night with that mare. So my wife had to come back, and I was up there a week by myself. And anyway, everything went good. Nosy came, got her back to the farm. Keeneland was going on, and Will Ferris, they had already given me, I'll have to figure how generous they were. They gave me $600 cash just to eat on. And, but anyway, everything went good. I came back to the farm. So Will Ferris came over to the barn, and they said, Butch, Mr. Ferris wants you. So Will come in and said, Butch, where's Nosy at? We call her Nosy. And anyway, I said, she's outside. And he said, let's go out and look at her. So he walked out, and he told her, Will said, Butch said, I'm going to tell you something. He said, I heard about how you took care of Nosy. And he said, I just want to show you my appreciation. So he reached in his pocket and gave me a check for $1,000. And he said, but out of a lot of the horses that he sent up there, they wind up losing them with salmonella and everything. And he was just so thankful for that. But other than that, like I said, I rub yearly things by Bull Ruler, Danzig, just similar good horses and things back in the day. But I was in the newspaper clipping with the Secretariat coach, which set a record at that time for the November sale, the highest price weanling ever at Keeneland. And back, some of the other experiences I've had, it's so many that I can't. But I used to break yearlings. I get on horses, break yearlings myself, get them ready to go outside. I'd done all that stuff and didn't realize that Mr. Benjamin was charged with the clients for breaking yearlings, and I was just getting my regular paycheck. But I was just a kid, loved doing that, So, but he was making money off of it, And then, so one day they come over and have an exercise boy come from Keeneland to get on the yearling to take him outside. So Mr. Benjamin asked me, said, "You want to take water out?" I said, "Sure." So I go down in the field there, ride this coat, and I don't know what he done, but he went, oh, and I went in the air, landed on my feet, and he was gone. But it was really nice. Of course, I used to work with the veterinarian, Dr. Ed Fallon. We were great friends. I held mares for him for over 17 years. And I learned a lot of stuff, the size of follicles and ovaries and all that kind of stuff, about the cervix, how it works, and medication and mastitis. We didn't have to call a vet for that. We would do it ourselves. They let us do it ourselves, Mare get mastitis. We used the old propane penicillin, 3 days, put a little, I can't call it, it's all stuff we use to rub on the bags, and I can't call it anyway right now. And then they would just clear right up, Told me, said if we do all right for us get the mares, back, he said, you're going to get a breeding bone, but you can't tell nobody. I said, okay. So we went on and wound up, we really did have a good facilities that year. So I was at the Phaser Tiffany sale, doing the sales of the latest secret over there. They were selling her the Night of the Stars sale. And so Mr. Benders, they had one of them walkie-talkie radios, and he was sitting right in front of everybody over there. And he spoke over the radio, Butch, yeah, I got your breeding bonus. So Bill Sellers, who was at the Ladies Ear station, he said, oh, Mr. Benders let the cat out of the bag, didn't he? I said he did. But it's just so many things, I've handled tough horses doing the sales. One of the states we used to have down here, Earl Schultz, you remember him? In on the Secret, I believe that married name was, and had this coat was by, what's that big horse name you have? No, it was, I just can't. Anyway, yeah, not that I'm so good, but he was, this coat here wound up at the sale. Gary Pintail was here, and he wound up hurting people that said he just reached over and grabbed, this one girl, he hurt her pretty bad. And I was just standing, Mr. Robert Clay and them all was at the sale, Dan and all of them, and I was just watching him with this show, because he wouldn't show good. His feet would go everywhere, and people try to watch him the show. And so I was just watching them to see what they were doing. Sometimes it's just in the hand, just in the hand, and I was watching them what they were doing on that shank. And so I back then when you clean those chain shanks with the leather, with the polish, brass polish, if you use your bare hand, it'll make your hand bleed just like somebody cut it with a knife. So I just put me a glove on his hand, and I saw what was going on. And this big coat there, I kind of just shortened up on it a little bit, and you could feel him when he tried to grab you. And then you could feel him coming at you, and I just stiffened up on it a little bit, and he quit. So I broke him from that, I got him where he was stand up perfect. He put his ears up, and just looked really sharp. And they had a reserve price on him, and I'd be at the sale rate, and I'd be watching that in school, and I was go up on it. Because I was happy to see him bring that price, and he went over the reserve. And anyway, he went back to the bar, and Earl Schultz come running to the bar, and after he went over that, he was just hollering, "Where's Butch? Where's Butch? I love you." And he was so happy. Tipped me $100 in my hand. I can't know. So I just several good horses that I handled in my days, and I don't know what else I can tell you.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you do right now.
Well, right now,
You just had your 80th birthday.
Birthday at 80. When I turned 66 years old, Case and the Clays, I was told I was ready to cut back. Okay, so they called me in the office and asked me if they had a job they wanted offered and see if I would do it. And I said, well, sure. So what I do now is, for the last 14 years, I just run errands for Three Chimneys. I take care of the supplies, and whatever's sending them, anybody needs, that's what I get. They trust me with a credit card to the farm, and that's all I do. That's what I do. And not that I'm so good at everything, but out of 14 years, I had an invoice. I never lost one. They never questioned me about anything that's out of place, because my dad taught me that honesty is always the best, and that's just what I do. And anything else?
Well, you talked about a couple different major points in history.
Sure.
And those would have been, timed with some shifts that the industry has seen.
Uh-huh.
Can you talk some about the changes in the industry over time from your perspective? Like, which ones stand out to you the most?
Well, one of the things is I thought I knew everything about horses, and I'm even this is a different generation now with people, which you never get too old to learn. And I even told Chris and them that I saw some stuff happening on the farm that we just didn't come into action back in my day. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things is I was so impressed, and I was one of those coconut mats. They put them in the barns. And then when they bring the mares and babies out every day, they walk over those mats. Well, when they become yearlings, they put it on a van, on a horse van, on a ramp, and they just walk right up in the van. You know what I'm saying? Well, back in the day when we used to load horses and things, we had to lock arms and push them on, and sometimes that could be a tough job, And one of the scariest things is riding in the van with horses, especially yearlings. That driveway over there, that was the only way entrance you had getting in and out of the big city. And a lot of the trees and things had limbs hanging down, and those limbs, those are yearlings, we in that, and those limbs hit that van, and them yearlings jumped right in, and man, my heart was doing it. But my goodness, that I've done so much there. Some stuff is not coming, it's not coming back to me, but that's some of the major points I think I've told you as far as me. Prepping horses, doing what I've done, teasing, all that kind of stuff. The other experience I had too is when you're watching horses go in and out, especially young horses, you look for bogs, sprints, all those kind of things, And the other experience I had with horses is that sometimes you just need to watch your horses and learn what the horse would makes them happy. And I had one year and one time that she wouldn't put on, this little filly, she wouldn't put on no weight. And she wouldn't eat. So what had happened, I just watched her one day, and I seen her when she go to the tub and she run back over to the wall. And what she would do is she was looking for her buddy. So I called the maintenance and I said, put me some screwdriver right here by this hole. And we put a screwdriver there and put a feed tub right there by that hole. And she could see her buddy, and she would stand there and just eat. And she put on weight and done well, just to make them happy. And with a lot of things that I've been through in the industry, And there's a lot more, but I just don't remember everything. That's a long time ago.
Well, thank you so much.
You're certainly welcome.